All right. So, Coach, welcome to your first media Zoom with the USC Beat Media. We
Thank you,
will
guys.
we will start firing away with some questions, and we'll start with Connor. Remember to please introduce yourself and say what outlet you write for.
Good afternoon, Coach. Connor Morissette with USCFootball.com. Thanks for joining us here. I'm curious, when you're on the road recruiting right now, what's your recruiting pitch in general?
Right now, when I'm on the road, the main thing I'm really trying to do is just really to start to build a relationship with these guys. I'm behind the eight ball. There are some kids that I was recruiting when I was at UCLA, so now it's just about continuing that relationship. But for the guys who I have not met yet, I really just want them to get to know me and just try to build a relationship with them as fast as I can.
Ryan Karchi?
Hey, D'Anton, it's Ryan Karchi with the LA Times. Thanks for doing this. I know when you took over UCLA's defense last year, you didn't have any experience as a coordinator, and you took over a defense that was in desperate need of its own rebuild. Now you come across town and you kind of have another defense to rebuild. What did you learn from that experience? Just it being your first year as a defensive coordinator, and also kind of having to rebuild that unit from the ground up. How do you think it could be applied here?
It was last year was a big learning curve for me, just my first time in college. There was a lot of things in spring I was seeing for the first time. I just think going through this now, the second year in college, a little bit more experience. I think that I'm just excited about the opportunity, excited about the process, but I also know that it's not going to be the exact same that it was last year. It's a different group of guys. It's a different staff, so it's not going to be the exact same. We just have to figure out the best way to try to duplicate that here.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for doing this. Luke Evans with the Orange County Register. Am I frozen? Or am
Nope,
I?
I can hear you.
Nope. Okay, sorry, my screen's just frozen. Sorry about that. So just wanted to ask, you had a chance to see this roster in the last game of the year. And as you're kind of going through the evaluation process, when you're going through interviews and talking with Lincoln just about what you see as the vision for this defense, what do you feel like kind of needs to change in terms of, Lincoln was talking about just wanting to play with size up front. What are you hoping to bring schematically, philosophically to this defense?
From a schematic standpoint, my thing is that it's all about the players. Everything's about the players. You want to put them in the best position to play fast, in the best position to make plays. And I think that looks a little bit different every year depending on how your team looks. So just really excited to get this next recruiting class in, to see what this team's going to look like this spring, and then try to see, okay, with this USC team 2024, what is the best way to put this team in the best position?
Shotgun?
Hey, D'Anton, congratulations on getting the job. USC's averaged 10 plus missed tackles per game for the last 6 years. That's 3 different defense coordinators. How do you plan to attack tackling when it seems it's been a systemic issue for the program?
And tackling is always a thing you always have to emphasize. You always have to emphasize. And, I haven't been here, so I'm not exactly sure why that is. But I'm just a big believer in, you have to emphasize just fundamentals over and over and over and over again, and at all positions. And it's something that you have to do all throughout the year, whether it's drills, whether it's showing guys good examples and bad examples on tape. It's just something that has to be emphasized. And then, your team has to have that attitude too, where they want to tackle. So again, I'm just excited to see what this new group is going to look like, the 2024 team, and see what we can do with it.
Thank you.
And Young?
Hey, Dan, Ryan Young, TrojanSports.com. Two-part question for you. First of all, going to last year, what prompted you to want to make the move to college, and why did you see that as maybe your future? And then who would you say have been your biggest influences on shaping your style as a defensive coach?
As far as making the jump, when I got the opportunity from Coach Kelly, it came out of the blue. I really felt like it was an opportunity personally for a lot of growth, getting a chance to call plays, getting a chance to coordinate a defense, getting a chance to manage a staff. So just the opportunity for growth, and then working with the age range. My only experience with college kids prior to that was interviewing them at the combine, and then I got a chance to coach the East-West game a couple times. And just coaching the East-West game, being around the college kids, I just had so much fun. It's just it's different than NFL players. So I was just excited about the opportunity and about the growth. And then as far as coaches who have impacted me, I've been very, very fortunate to be exposed to a lot of very good coaches. The first coach offhand I have to say is Rex Ryan. I played for Rex. I was a scout for Rex, and I was a coach for Rex. So he kind of got me into the league, and a lot of the things that I do, a lot of the way I see the game always comes back to him. Gus Bradley is someone who had a huge impact. I think he's just a phenomenal teacher, super, super detailed. And I was only with him for a year, but that year I was with him, I grew a lot. And then, Romeo Cornell, Wink Martindale, and Mike McDonald, those are the next DCs I was with. And I feel like each of them had a different impact on me. And, I take a little bit from everywhere I've been. And, just very, very thankful and grateful to have been exposed to those type of coaches.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Hey, Coach, Eric McKinney from USC. If you could kind of position group by position group defensively, what are the things, maybe, physically, mentally, personality, like the key things that you look for in sort of building those rooms at each level?
I mean, the biggest thing across all positions is versatility. It's hard, I think, in the way the game is played now at college and the NFL to have guys that just do one thing. You want versatile guys up front who can align in different spots. That way you can get in different fronts without having to sub. So you need certain types of bodies on the edge. You need certain types of bodies on the inside where you can move those guys around. So if we want to go from a 4 down front to a 5 down front, we don't need to sub to put a bigger guy in. We have the personnel where we can just go ahead and do that with the guys we have on the field. And then from a linebacker and secondary standpoint, same thing, just versatility, football instincts, guys who are just very passionate and love football.
Mark?
Hey, Coach Lynn, Mark Hulkin with USC. Quick question: when you took the job at USC, you coached against them a couple of weeks before. What was the first thing you said to Coach Riley? Where you said, "Hey, you know what? This is what I need." What kind of surprised you when you looked across the line of scrimmage and said, "That's USC, and this is what I need to go fix"?
Well, Coach Riley addressed it, and it was size up front, especially going into the Big Ten. I played in the Big Ten. Big Ten has big bodies on the offense and defensive line, and that's something that we need to get bigger up front. And then outside of that, I'm still going through the roster. I've got a chance to watch a practice. I'm out recruiting right now, but like in between recruits, I'm trying to watch games from this past year just so I can see the players, because right now I don't really have a great feel for the team, just because when I got the job, I hit the road and have been recruiting since.
Great, thank you.
RJ?
Hey, D'Anton, RJ Abadia from USCFootball.com. As you look at the tape, what stands out to you about the USC defense, specifically with regard to the explosive plays that the Trojans allowed last year?
I mean, the first thing that sticks out is, that the team's not that far away. You see a lot of good things on tape. As far as the explosive plays, it's something, again, I need to watch more tape and dive into. I want to dive into their playbook. That's something that I did at UCLA when I first got there. I watched the tape. I also wanted to know what they were doing and why and what their scheme was, because there might be some schematic stuff that they did that was good that we might keep. There might be some stuff that we changed, but I think to know all that, you kind of just need a little bit more information, which I'm trying to gather right now.
So, thank you.
Antonio?
Hey, D'Anton, this is Antonio Morales from The Athletic. When you got to UCLA last year, that defensive staff was already in place. How will you go about evaluating and building a staff on the defensive side of the ball here at USC?
I haven't even got a chance to meet everybody on staff yet. I was recruiting in LA for a day. I'm in Atlanta now, Connecticut tomorrow. So just really focused on just, seeing the commits, seeing the guys we're going after, these transfer and portal guys. And then, you know, I'm looking forward to meeting the staff, but it's not even something I'm really thinking about right now.
2K.
Hi, D'Anton. This is Tribune Lynn with the LA Times. Thanks for making time for us between all of your travels.
No problem.
So what did you learn specifically about being a coordinator last year? What challenges did you face kind of sitting in that decision maker seat, especially in your first year coaching at the college level?
You know, just each week is different. You know, in college football, you play a bunch of different types of offenses, you know, from a Washington State team that's going to be spread, air raid, to a Oregon State or Utah team. So you just have to prepare for a lot. And, you know, it was just very fun for me to get a chance to coach the college kids and really just see their growth from spring into fall. And I learned a lot from them. I think I've only really taught NFL players before this. So getting a chance to teach college kids has made me a better teacher because, you know, you can't assume anything, you know, that's something that I learned very early on. You know, you're really building the foundation for some of these kids.
No.
Hey, Coach. Fredo Cervantes here with the Sporting Tribune. Welcome to Los Angeles here again. Of course, you came from across the town here, but what are some of your like football coaching goals you strive to accomplish here coming into USC in your new journey?
I just want to play the best defense possible. You know, I think that we have every reason to. I think that, you know, one of the reasons I was excited about this job is because I felt like after my conversations with Coach Riley and Jen Cohen that they're passionate about playing elite defense here at SC by any means necessary.
Greg.
D'Anton, this is Greg Beecham with the Associated Press. You mentioned your playing history in the Big Ten. You mentioned the size that you want to get on this defensive line. Even broader than that, what are the differences that you're going to have to accomplish here and do to play in the Big Ten, to take USC into a new conference with obviously a different style of ball and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see even different styles in the Big Ten. And that's something where we have to do a good job in the spring, making sure that we're seeing the stuff that we're going to see in the fall, as far as we're going to see some two-back formations. We're going to see certain run schemes that we didn't see in the Pac-12. We're going to see more 12, 13, 22 personnel. So that's stuff that, you know, we have to make sure that we're preparing our guys for all throughout the spring. That way, week 3, Michigan, we're not, you know, showing them this for the very first time.
Thanks.
Ryan Dyrud.
Hey, Coach. Ryan Dyrud here with the LA Football Network. Thanks so much for the time. You mentioned it briefly, but what can you take from your time in the NFL in terms of teaching and also in recruiting that kind of gives you an upper hand and an advantage when talking to these kids because you've been in those rooms that looks at building a roster from the college game?
I think just their overall preparation into the NFL, you know, from a schematic standpoint, from a terminology standpoint, to how we teach it, to how we'll do walkthroughs. I just think it's going to prepare guys for the next level, so that when they go to the NFL, there's always going to be differences with each team. There's always going to be things you need to learn that are a little new. But I do think that between the scheme, between the way we coach, between the way we do things, it's very NFL-like, and it just prepares those guys for the next level. And there's a difference between, you know, having good players and winning football games, which is the ultimate goal. But our goal is to do that while also preparing them for the next level.
Thank you.
Greg Katz.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for having me. And a couple of questions. You talk about schemes and that sort of stuff. How would you compare your style of defense to what USC has done previously under Alex Grinch? Compare, contrast the defenses, how the normal fan might say, you know, that looks different. What's different? What's the same?
You know, again, I don't know enough quite yet about USC's defense. I've watched 2 games. I've watched a practice. You know, I'm looking forward to watching the entire year. But as far as our defense, like I'm not a guy who has like hey, this is my scheme, this is what I do. Again, it's all about the players. I think you have to be flexible. You have to be able to adapt, and you need a scheme that is built that way. And with the rest of the coaching staff and myself this past year, we were able to do that. You know, we had a very flexible scheme that not only fit our personnel, but allowed us to be a little bit different each week, depending on the offense that we were playing. And, you know, we're not going to be able to do that exact same thing here at SC because there are different pieces, different players, different staff, but we want to still try to do that same thing in our own way this year.
Thank you.
We have time for one more, and we're going to go with the person that hasn't asked the question yet, Ryan Abraham.
Last one. Thanks, Katie. Hey, D'Anton, I just you played USC a few weeks back. You held the USC to just 3 rushing yards. Did that come up in the conversation or the interview with Lincoln Riley? He talked about any kind of self-scouting about how you could actually help the offensive side of the ball as well.
It actually did not come up, but I'm sure it will at some point, especially as we get closer to spring ball and we start competing against each other.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Coach Lynn. Thank you, media.